Welcome to the Dan Sports Tips NFL and NCAA football betting preview for Week 10 of the NFL season, Week 11 of the college football season. I will be taking a look at the games I like in the NFL and the games my ratings have thrown up in college this week. We did have a fairly poor week last week, going 0-2 in the NFL. We are slightly down on the year, but you know, there's a long way to go in this season yet. There are 4 games I like this week. I'm going to start with Denver and New Orleans. It's simply a number-based play, this one. The Saints routinely score 30 points when they're at home in the Dome, failing to do so on only one occasion this year when they scored 25 points in their victory against the Seattle Seahawks. Denver cannot stop the run, as was exposed by the Oakland Raiders last weekend. We know that the Saints do have players that can move the football on the ground. Both Mark Ingram and Tim Hightower showed us that last week, and they obviously have got big play receivers that, should they be able to break one against an excellent Denver secondary, will only add to the points in this game. Denver themselves have looked below average offensively in recent weeks. However, the New Orleans Saints defense is far from good. The Saints have held only one opponent, the New York Giants, below 20 points all season long. I feel sure that the Broncos are going to get their points in this game, and the total points number of 49 just looks on the low side to me. I think 50 is easily achievable in this game, so I'll play 4 points on Denver at New Orleans to go over 49 total points. The next game on the slate for me is going to be the Tennessee Titans hosting the Green Bay Packers. Coming into this season, it was widely proclaimed that the AFC South was the worst division in football. It is not. That is the NFC North, which just so happens to match up against the AFC South in non-conference divisional play this year. And the North is getting killed. The Chicago Bears are 0-3 against the South. They've only got the Titans left to play. Detroit lost at home to Tennessee and on the road at Houston. Did manage to beat the Colts, scoring a late one to take the victory in a shootout in the opening weekend. Green Bay themselves lost inexplicably at home to the Colts last week, which, to be honest, nobody saw coming, but we probably all should have done. They did manage to beat the Jaguars in week 1. However, that was one where they held on late. The Jags drove the ball down into the red zone late in the fourth quarter, needing a touchdown to win and failed to convert. The Vikings are the only team that have had a winning record against the AFC South this year, having beaten Houston and Tennessee. The overall record for the NFC North against the South is 4-6. This is not an overreaction to last week's game. I can't see why the Packers are a 3-point favourite on the road to an underrated Titans team that might just be the best in the AFC South. The Colts, and if we're going to be generous about the Colts, they're below average secondary, exposed these Green Bay receivers last week. They cannot get open in man coverage. Marcus Mariota is an underrated passer. He should be able to move the ball as long as the Titans staff understand that they'll have to get away from their run-first philosophy against one of the best run-stopping fronts in the league in Green Bay. But getting a field goal at home, give me the Titans with the points, please. Sticking with an NFC North theme, the Chicago Bears go into Tampa Bay this weekend. I will start by saying I'm unsure why the Chicago Bears are a favourite on the road against any team not called Cleveland or San Francisco. The Buccaneers have proven to us they're a solid team this year. Both these teams have got lead receivers on them in Alshon Jeffrey and Mike Evans that look set to have big days in this game, as there's not a player in either secondary that can cover them. They both have received fairly reasonable running play from Jordan Howard and the returning Doug Martin. The points line at 45.5 just looks low to me. With Jay Cutler back, the hope for the Bears will be that drives will stop stalling. They move the football between the 20s well all year, whether it's been Cutler or Hoyer under centre. Turning some 3s into 7s will be a big help for Chicago, but at 45.5, I'll play the over in this game all day long. The final game I want to look at this week in the NFL is the Minnesota Vikings and the Washington Redskins. The Redskins are a team that cannot stop the run and have got a reasonably good pass defence. That's a good matchup when you're facing the Vikings, who, in the absence of Adrian Peterson, cannot move the ball on the floor at all, ranking 31st in rushing offence by Football Outsiders DVOA, and they are distinctly average passing the ball, where they lack weapons in the receiving game, in all honesty, and Sam Bradford is at best an average quarterback. The Redskins themselves cannot move the football on the ground. The best unit in this game offensively is definitely the Washington Redskins passing attack. Minnesota's secondary does match up well with them, but over 60 minutes of football, I don't have any confidence that Minnesota are going to score points. They failed to break 16 in each of their last 3 games. All of those were losses. The 16 points came against an atrocious Detroit Lions unit that ranks last in the league by DVOA. They managed only 10 points in the other 2 games. Give me the Redskins, who I at least know can score at home, giving less than a field goal to a well below average Minnesota Vikings team. For anyone that hasn't watched the show before, I compile ratings on the college football. They give me strength of plays between 1 and 7 points, 7 being the strongest. And yeah, I just literally I will read off the plays now to let you know what they are for this week's college football. Oklahoma minus 17.5 against Baylor is a 4-point play. This is the biggest game of the week for us, and 6 points on under 78.5 total points in that game. 4 points on Mississippi State plus 29.5 to beat Alabama, and over 53 total points in that game. Indiana against Penn State, we will play under 59.5 total points in that game. Out in the Pac-12, the big game, USC against Washington, we'll put 2 points on the under 60.5 total points in that game. Arkansas plus 7 to beat LSU is worth a point of our money, and we'll also throw 2 points on over 46.5 total points in that game. Minnesota against Nebraska, we'll have a point on Minnesota plus 7 in that game. We'll also put a point on Minnesota to win the game outright, on pull the upset on the money line, and a point on under 48 total points in that game. South Carolina against Florida as underdogs, we'll put a point on South Carolina plus 10.5, and we'll also play South Carolina on the money line. We'll put 1 point on Texas minus 1.5 to beat West Virginia in a game that profiles as a shootout. Vanderbilt against Missouri, we'll play a point on Vanderbilt plus 3.5. We'll also play a point on Vanderbilt to win that game outright, another upset pick, and under 54 total points in the game. Oregon against Stanford, we'll play 2 points on Oregon plus the field goal to beat Stanford, and we'll have a point on Oregon as well to pull the upset in the money line in that game. 3 points on the North Texas Mean Green against Western Kentucky. They're getting over 4 touchdowns. It's plus 28.5. We'll play North Texas in that game. Again, out in the Pac-12, hapless Arizona playing Colorado. We will put 2 points on Colorado minus 16 in that game. San Diego State minus 23 against Nevada is another solid play. Navy against Tulsa. We've missed the value on a little bit. Navy were slight dogs at home earlier in the week, but I will put 4 points on Navy minus 2 to beat Tulsa in this game. 2 points on Virginia Tech to beat Georgia Tech, also minus 14. That closes out the plays. The accumulator of the week, obviously we have copped on 1 this year. It's a 6-team accumulator this week because I couldn't narrow it down to 5, which is normally what I prefer to do. That could be a good sign because the one that we actually won was the 6-teamer. We'll play under 78.5 on Oklahoma Baylor, over 53 in Alabama against Mississippi State. Arkansas plus 7, Navy minus 2, Virginia Tech minus 14, and Texas minus 1.5. 2 points on that will return 96.96 with Bet365. Please do like my video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Let me know in the comments section what you think is going to happen in the NFL and the college football this week. I'm here every week throughout the college football season. Do give me a follow on Twitter at dansports.tips. Best of luck if you're having a play, and I will see you next week.